Hi, I'm Freya Broos. Welcome to my LifePage. Today we're going to talk about travel journalism. First, I'll give you an introduction about myself. So I studied journalism and graduated about 6 years ago. And my first working experience was actually not in journalism. Somehow I ended up being in account management at Microsoft, which was a wonderful first working experience because it's truly an amazing company to work for. And then secondly, after that, I actually went traveling because traveling is truly my great passion in life. But of course, to be able to travel, you have to have funds for that. So I looked for another job and I did found that I have a huge interest in car mechanics. So I went down that road, and I ended up working in a garage, partially doing administration, but also learning a lot about car mechanics and just doing small things in car mechanics. But yeah, it wasn't my true calling in life. And finally, 6 years after graduating from Lisieux University in Belgium, I end up back in journalism because I think the choice that I made as a teenager to study journalism is indeed my true calling, and I can beautifully connect it with my passion for travel. Travel journalism, you can do it as a freelancer or work directly for a company like a magazine or some kind of journal. So I'm a freelance travel journalist, and basically I collect stories from all around the world. It can either be stories about, for example, a hotel, a beautiful destination, but it can also be about a certain culture, a certain group of people, or just one person in specific, like portrait about somebody who's important in a certain culture or country. In travel journalism, you can be the editor of the entire story. You can write the story, do the pictures, but they can also send a photographer with you. So that depends a bit on the budget that you or the company you work for, the budget that is available. But yeah, it's very interesting as a travel journalism because you can go on very different paths of journalism. History. Because history, of course, it's the funds of our world, and it's pretty important to know where a culture originated from. For example, if you travel to Cambodia, you really have to know the history of Pol Pot, because the history of this situation many, many decades ago still really lives throughout the culture. So you cannot go to a country without knowing what happened there, what is the history of the culture and the country in total. Of course, as a journalist, storytelling is quite important as well as a skill to have. You have to be able to have a way of telling the story that you see, like the things you see happening around you. You have to be able to bring that in a beautiful story to your readers. It probably depends on your personality, but I have a very curious personality, so I like to learn and learn and learn in life, and travel journalism gives me that opportunity to learn about other religions, other countries, other cultures. And that is truly an amazing thing to do, that you learn just about so many different things at the same time. You have a quite unstable life. You're always going somewhere. You're always away from home. So the first question is, do you actually have a home? Of course, you have a family, and that's a home where you can always return to. But it is definitely difficult to start up a family if you're away from home so many times a year or for such long periods of time. I look for stories while traveling. So, for example, I'll be in a certain town and I love to just stroll around and just on my own and observe what is happening around me until I see something that catches my curiosity. And I will go in a first step to know more about it. And if it's an interesting ashram in India, then I will ask them if I can come back at a later time and do an interview with, for example, the head of this ashram or some students of the ashram. So you start planning the angle of the story that you want, and you get those interviews or those timings that you want to take pictures or anything else. So you'll come back to that story on another day, and for that one you really need preparation. So you need to be prepared with what questions you want to ask, what is the exact angle that you want for the story. So yeah, like one article takes several days to work on. And then, of course, after you've done the actual work of the interviewing and observing everything. So I hope that I gave you a clear and balanced view on what travel journalism is, and maybe inspired you as well. Thank you.